Hi, Sergey Shimansky here. In this video, I'll share my top 3 modeling notations for business analysts. Let's dive right in. Number 1. BPMN. BPMN, or Business Process Modeling Notation, has been around for more than a decade and has gained tremendous popularity not only with BAs but also with software architects, process analysts, and management consultants. It's a powerful and simple to follow notation that allows you to describe almost any process at any level of detail. Whether we're analyzing the current or as-is process or trying to define the future or to-be process, BPMN is a great choice, and here's why. In process modeling, there are notions of L1, L2, and L3 type of diagrams. With BPMN, you can start with L1, which is a high-level definition of the process, really a 1,000-feet view, so you can set the boundaries and define major components of the process. Then you move on to L2, where you can add more details and add swim lanes to indicate who performed these actions in the process. And then finally, you reach L3, where not only you specify who does what, but you also define how. This is where you get into more details and you can add conditions, intermediate events, data flows, and many more elements. And as a modeling language, BPMN gives you all the tools that you'll need to describe the details of your business process. Number 2. Conceptual domain models. Conceptual domain models are a mix of entity relationship and ontology diagrams. They illustrate the main concepts and entities within your process or business domain and how those concepts relate to each other. For example, when I'm defining the structure of a product catalog, I want to include concepts like product, category, brand, season, and seasonal catalog, as well as suppliers and warehouses, depending on the specifics of my process. And as I'm defining these concepts and how they relate to one another, I'll discover more questions and insights about the business domain that I'll need to clarify. Please don't mix conceptual domain models with database models. Although there are certain similarities, they're not the same. And you should always start with conceptual model, where you define business entities and how they relate to one another, and that model may then influence how you build your database to store this data. If you have ever heard terms like physical and logical data models, then the conceptual diagram will represent the logical model of your business domain. And as for the modeling notation, my preferred choice is the UML class diagram. It's a great way to describe high-level concepts and relationships within the business domain. And again, you don't necessarily describe the database model or actual classes of programming language here. Instead, you just use the notation elements like classes and associations to describe your business domain. I learned about this approach from Howard Podeswa's classic book called UML for IT Business Analysts, where there are great examples of using UML for conceptual modeling, process definition, and other typical BA tasks. Make sure to check it out. Number 3. Sequence diagrams. Sequence diagrams are a very powerful tool in the hands of business analysts. And here's why. With a continuous trend toward building headless and decoupled architectures, we see more cases where there's a need to describe interactions between multiple black boxes or systems within the process. For example, if you're working on a product management solution, you might need to pull media assets from an external digital asset management system and assign them to your products. For this, you need to define the sequence of calls and the data that's being exchanged. Another example is when a registered user gets to the My Account area, there's often a dashboard where the user can see a bunch of data related to the past orders, preferred shipping address, current order status, and other information. In most cases, these data comes from external third-party datasets or APIs. And as an analyst, I want to have a clear definition of how these systems interact with one another and what the sequence of these steps in this interaction. And of course, UML sequence diagram is a great choice to define and describe such interactions. Again, you may use it at various levels of detail, and as a BA, you don't necessarily need to define what actual API methods are called in the interaction, but you may concentrate on the data that's being exchanged and the sequence of calls. That will later influence how developers will implement the actual interaction. Before we wrap it up, I wanted to mention other great modeling notations that many BAs use. State chart diagrams. These diagrams allow you to depict the various states or statuses that a business object or an entity may go through within its life cycle. Data flow diagrams. These diagrams show how data is used and accumulated throughout the process. Use case diagrams. These diagrams illustrate the main product capabilities from an end-user perspective. Please check out my blog where I write more about BA stuff, and make sure to download the free Scrum cheat sheet designed specifically for IT business analysts. That Scrum cheat sheet comes along with a free video tutorial, so make sure to check it out. So these are my top 3 modeling notations for business analysts in 2023. BPMN, conceptual domain models, sequence diagrams. Let me know what are your preferred diagrams and modeling notations and why. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for sticking around. My name is Sergey Shimansky. Have a great day.